thanks for stopping by. I want to do a quick check-in, reading check-in. I typically do these every 2 weeks. However, because I was sick the first full week in May, I did not do one, but I just posted my second half of April wrap up. So I wasn't going to do a reading check-in this week. However, I realized that it is the middle of May. And so I should probably do, to stay on schedule, which I appreciate schedules, I would do one now. That first week in May when I was sick, I did not read a lot, could not focus on any kind of reading. So I finished 2 books so far for May, and I'm actually fine with that. Typically I read a lot more, but it is what it is. And these 2 books that I finished were really great books. The first one that I finished was Independence by Chitra Bandri Divakaruni. This is about 3 sisters in India during the late 1940s, early 1950s, when the British rule was ending, I believe. And hello, Hopper. He's going to join us for this. And there are kind of expectations for each sister. The oldest sister is the beauty of the family, and she's expected to marry well within their religion and kind of set the future for the family. The middle daughter is not really, there's not a lot of expectation for her. She has a physical disability, and at the time, in their culture, it was pretty much decided that no one would want to marry anyone with a physical disability, which I have thoughts on that, but I felt like it was presented in a factual, this is what people with disabilities deal with in the time, place, and culture. And then the youngest daughter is kind of the smartest one and is hoping to go to follow in her father's footsteps as a doctor. And the family is encouraging of that, even though it is going to be challenging for her as a woman. Not a lot of women were going to medical school. It looks at some of the violence that happens between the Muslims and Hindu as they're kind of finding their place, and after the British leave, they're finding their place, trying to figure out who's in charge, where people are going to go. They're trying to kind of separate. I think it's Hindus should be in India and Muslims should be in Pakistan, is kind of the political pressure that's happening at the time, and kind of the 3 sisters and how they're caught up in what is unfolding politically and how that influences their lives, the trajectory of their lives, kind of those expectations, how they fall into play. I really liked the sister relationship and how that was developed and talked about. I think it's an interesting, and I love stories about sisters. It's very interesting to see kind of relationships of sisters when they're young, and then to see how it unfolds as they're adults and end up having families of their own, etc. how that kind of changes different political beliefs of sisters, things like that. I really appreciated those relationships, and the character development in this is amazing. The relationships between the sisters and their significant others was really well done, and I just really loved this book, and I gave it 5 stars. I should also mention that this book I read for the Asian Readathon, and it also had the sister who had a physical disability, and so it met a prompt for the Spoonie Readathon, and those are the 2 readathons I am doing this month. The next book I read was 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster by Mireille Lee. This was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. This was a really interesting read. It talks about the time between when Korea split, North Korea and South Korea, and I should say it starts with in an assisted living facility, nursing home, on a memory care unit with someone who I guess is more like a social worker or activities coordinator in the facility, who wants to do a project of writing obituaries for the people in the complex, as sort of an activity to share their memories. And they had really positive reactions to the project in other facilities, and so she takes it on and meets a woman who tells her life story, and it was interesting. It was and you can, on the cover it says slave, escape artist, murderer, terrorist, spy, lover, mother. And those are the stories that she takes the obituary writer through. And basically, I really did like the book. I think one of the struggles I had with it was it is not told in a linear way, which I don't need a linear timeline or anything like that, but it jumped in a weird way. If you've read this, you know. But it goes through each of these situations in the woman's life and really kind of sheds light on the situation that women had in Korea when it was occupied by Japan, and the US military, and some of the things that happened to women during that time. It's pretty horrific. From other things that I've read about the time, it's definitely factual and infuriating. So I actually made marked a passage because this stuck out to me, and it says, "The once occupied were now occupying the resting place of their dead occupiers." Did you follow? The once occupied were now occupying the resting place of their dead occupiers. And that I mean, sums up the factual history of the area as well. And just the different lives that this woman lived, different kind of roles that she played, how they impact each other and how they impact her family and how the world around her, kind of the political situation around her, determined what role she was playing when and what happened, you know, to change the role. And also it comes full circle and talks about how she ended up in this assisted living facility. And I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. And like I said, I think the 1 star off, what made it not a 5-star was I got confused a little bit on how it jumped around. But other than that, I think it was a great read. So what am I currently reading? This is the stack that I'm currently reading. It's a lot. So first off, the winner of the Carol Shields Prize for Fiction is Brotherless Night by V.V. Ganeshanathan. This was announced at the beginning of this week, and I hadn't read it yet, but I had it from the library still, and I also don't have any renewals on it because I've had it for a while. But I am probably, you know, like a third of the way through it, and I'm really liking it. This is another story about family and expectations and political turmoil, very similar to Independence and The 8 Lives of a Century-Old Trickster. So I hope to have this finished within the next day or two. This is kind of my main focus so that I can get it back to the library. I am reading, this is a middle grade book. This is The Stickleback Catchers by Lizette Otten. I'm not too far into this one. This is, I'm reading this for the Spoonie Readathon. And this one, right now, we're looking at Mimi, who is, she is, I forget how old she is. I want to say 9. She has a physical disability, and she is living with her grandparents. And we're kind of seeing that her grandmother is having memory issues. And there is some stuff going on, some secrets that I don't know what they are yet, but they're hinting to those secrets. And so I'm really enjoying this. The group read for the Spoonie Readathon is another book by Lizette Otten. It is the why is it escaping? I'll put a picture here. I have it in the other room, and I've already read it. It's a really good book. I'm also doing a buddy read of Magic Hour by Kristen Hanna. This is about a young girl who's found, and she doesn't speak, and she's malnourished, and the police chief is kind of not sure what to do. It's a very small town. They don't have a lot of crime around there. And so she calls in a psychiatrist to work with this little girl. And the psychiatrist is her sister, who has recently had her career ruined, basically. And so I'm at the early stages of it, and that's all I've gotten to so far. But as usual, Kristen Hanna has me already hooked on that one. I am listening to Sitting Pretty by Rebecca Tausig, The View from My Ordinary Resilient Disabled Body. This is talking about Rebecca's life with paralysis and just kind of her experiences. She was paralyzed at a young age, and so we just got through kind of her younger years, and now we're into her young adulthood and kind of expectations of society, how society treats her, and some of the ways that she started to become an advocate in the disabled community. So really enjoying that as well. And then the two that I'm continually reading, trying to get through, is Grief is Love, Living with Loss by Marissa Renee Lee, and Medicine Woman by Lucy H. Pierce. This one's about grief. This one's about chronic illness and women and their treatment by the medical community. And I am going to finish those very soon, hopefully. So that's what I'm reading right now. I am feeling a lot better and am able to read a good bit. So I should have all these finished soon. I really appreciate you being here. If you like these books or would like to hear my thoughts on them, please hit the subscribe button and the notification, and you'll find out when I post a video. Hopefully I'll be reviewing these at the end of the month. I hope you're having a great reading month yourself, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.